Something Sweet's back, and today we're going to be talking about all kinds of different cake pans and the benefits and where you can get them and what I found to be the best one out in the market. So let's start off by talking about the two different kinds. We have the typical silver one, and then we have the dark cake pan. And I've tested out several different companies. I've got them from Wilton. I've got them from the different brands that Bed Bath and Body Works, what is that store called? Bed Bath and Beyond. They carry the ones Hobby Lobby carries, the ones some of the cake shops carry. And to be honest, in my opinion, the ones I personally like the most are these silver ones from Wilton. They are sold in a lot of different places. Walmart has them, Michael's has them, but honestly I found them to be the best at Michael's in terms of price. They vary anywhere between, I believe, $6 to $14 or so, but Michael's always has a 40 or 50% off coupon. So if you take one of those coupons, it's always half off on any one item. So that's that. But I also like these silver ones, because the ones from Wilton, because I feel like the base is sturdy. The whole pan itself is very sturdy. The metal itself is thick enough where you can get, whenever you put your batter in here, you get a nice even coloring all around the cake. And what it does, what it helps in a lot is sometimes you don't have to even spray the pan. The cakes that I made for this tutorial, I did not put any kind of spray or anything around it. I just put parchment on the bottom, put my batter in there, and baked it, and it came out perfect. For any starting bakers, I suggest you get the cake pans in several different shapes and sizes. Shapes as in the circle and the square. These are the two essential ones. And if you're going to be doing a lot of cakes during Valentine's Day time, then it's good to have the heart-shaped ones also. But for sizes, I get the 6, the 8, 9, 10, and I also have a 12, but you won't need the 12 unless you know, you're making big cakes for weddings and stuff. But other than that, those would be the essential ones that you'll need. Also, let's see, what else do we need to talk about? Yes, so for any cake pans, what I found to be the easiest is to make sure you put a parchment paper on the bottom. Instead of doing the butter and the flour and then, you know, then putting your batter on top, that I find, I mean, it's a good method, but it's an older method which might or might not work depending on your cake pans. Sometimes the cakes come out nice and even and they just plop right out, but other times they don't, they stick, depending on how well you greased it and floured it on the bottom. So I go with parchment paper all the time, greasing the cake. Sometimes I forget, but like I said, with these silver ones, they come right out even if you don't grease it. And another thing, a little trick I find with baking a nice, even, as flat as possible cake is every time you put your batter in your cake pan, these are really good for that. Make sure you pour the batter in here, and then you take your pan and kind of tap it a few times on your table. That takes the air bubbles out and gives you a nice flat even layer. And another thing I do is I just take the pan and I swirl it this way. Just go give it one or a couple swirls. So what that does is whenever you pour your batter, we tend to pour the batter right in the center of the pan. And that's where the mound happens. So when you are just kind of twirling it or turning this cake pan like this, it takes the attention from the center of the pan, it pushes it outwards towards the corners. And you'll see that when you do it. And that helps flatten the cake a lot more. So you don't have a big dome and then you have to cut off the domes, and you know, most of that cake goes to waste. Not in my house, somebody always eats it, or I end up making a trifle out of it. But if you don't want that, just do that. Tap a few times and then stick it in the oven. And there you have it. You'll have a nice evenly baked cake all around. What I find with the darker pans is they are hard to twirl because they're heavier. It's very hard to give it a nice full twirl. Like this one is not doing it, it's barely turning. So you can't turn them. And then the cake is very temperamental. Sometimes you get an okay cake, sometimes it takes a lot longer to cook in the darker pans. Sometimes they burn. A lot of times I found, especially for chocolate cakes, they don't bake well in here. They end up burning, even though I'm keeping an eye on it. I don't go by time, I keep an eye on the doneness of the cake by sticking a toothpick in there or a fork or a butter knife or something in there to check and see if they're done or not. And in these, they do take a lot longer. And then what happens is the outside starts cooking, the inside is still raw, and that's how they end up burning. So I don't use these very often. In fact, I plan on giving these away or doing something else with it. But that's that. And then the last one, my favorite one, is this one. This one I use only when I have to do ganaches and layers, less cake, more mousse, and more filling, that type of thing. So it's good. I mean, I like it for baking. It's not all that great, but what I do is I end up baking in these, cutting my cakes, and then putting them in here, and then layering it with whatever ganache or buttercream or ice cream cakes, and then you can just open the sides. The sides will come right out, or open. There you go. And then you're left with just this bottom. So you don't have to worry about lifting the cake off the bottom. It can stay on here. You can even serve it on here like this, and you'll have a nice layered, even cake. So yeah, those are my tips and some tricks for starters. I'm probably not going to do a cake this weekend just because of the awful weather we had, and it's just been crazy busy at the Sharif household this week. So no cake this weekend, but next weekend I'm going to continue and make that globe cake that I was talking about. And I'll post a picture on Thursday. Tell me if you guys want it, and then we'll arrange pickup or delivery for Friday or Saturday, whichever works, and we'll go from there. Now, if you found this video informative, if you liked it, feel free to like it, share it, subscribe, and we will see you again next Friday. Bye!